Absolutely no chance.
For all the build-up and the politics, Ayaz, this is the match we get. India completely destroy Pakistan to move into the Super 8s, and at one point it was so one-sided that Tilak Verma and Rinku Singh were bowling even when Varun Chakravarti and Jasprit Bumrah had overs left. What an anticlimactic finish.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it just shows you the gulf that exists between India and Pakistan, where talent is concerned, where wherewithal is concerned. This match was built up tremendously, as always. India and Pakistan. It's a blockbuster match for the stakeholders, certainly for the players and certainly for the fans also. So, but it was an anticlimax. I don't think Pakistan have the resources to compete with India. I mean, we've seen that often enough in the last decade, even in the last 12 months, if I might say so, across formats in the ODIs as well as in the T20 format. We don't play Test cricket bilaterally, so there's no assessment on that. But otherwise, it just seems extremely lopsided. India seems to be streets ahead, whether it's batting, bowling, depth of talent available in both these departments, and obviously, I think most importantly, in the mindset. India looked to have not just the aptitude but also the attitude to go out there and dictate terms from the very start. And Pakistan don't seem to have an answer to that, as we've seen repeatedly over the past maybe 2 decades, in fact, if I might go back in time.
Yeah, so let's talk about Ishan Kishan, who single-handedly took the match away from Pakistan. I mean, at the point that when he got out, he had scored around 90% of India's runs. Now, Abhishek Sharma was supposed to be the man in this role, but then he got out for a duck. But then, as you mentioned, the depth of talent that India has, Ishan Kishan steps into that role and takes the game away. So what a run of form this guy is having.
Absolutely, and he's just come back so much stronger in the mental aspect. He always had talent. Remember, this is from the same cluster: Rishabh Pant, Prithvi Shaw, Abhishek Sharma, and Ishan Kishan. They're part of that same kind of cluster in Indian cricket. 1920, when they all came into prominence. Now in their mid 20s, and Ishan Kishan actually had a period in the cold storage a couple of years back, and he's come back so much stronger, and it's to do with his mental approach to the game now. He just knows that every opportunity, because there's so much competition. He's the guy who actually replaced first choice wicketkeeper batsman Sanju Samson in this team, in this playing 11. And he knows there is Ishan Kishan, Rishabh Pant lurking in the background, Dhruv Jurel. So there's a lot of competition amongst these young players, not just in the wicket keeping department, in the batting, in the bowling, in pace bowling, in spin bowling. So that's where India's strength comes, the depth of talent available. And Ishan Kishan proved that with what I thought was a bionic innings. It was absolutely marvelous to watch the way he took the bowling apart, and especially on a pitch like that, which was sluggish. We saw how Pakistan batsmen just completely, just buckled under from the challenges. And also after losing Abhishek Sharma for a blob in the first over, so it was a magnificent knock, match-winning knock, as was evident.
Yeah, and for all the praise that we're giving Ishan Kishan, we should also mention Pakistan's bowling. They quite a few balls on his legs, and like he just flicked them away. But also the introduction of Usman Tariq, who was supposed to be this X factor. Everyone was talking about him before the game. Everyone was decoding how he's bowling, the stop-start nature of his bowling. But he was introduced quite late into the innings. So overall, quite a bad day at the office.
It's ironic because, in a sense, if you look at the scorecard and if you watch the match closely, the Pakistani bowlers actually did far better than the batsmen. Yes, the India put up 175 on a pitch where actually 150 would have been competitive. But some bowling changes were baffling. The introduction of Usman Tariq so late was obviously a surprise too. I think at that point in time, the way Ishan Kishan was going, they feared that a slow bowler might get clobbered to all parts of the ground, and that perhaps compelled Salman Agha to hold these bowlers back. But then Salman Agha himself, after bowling one fairly good over at the start, took himself off. And this was not a pitch for fast bowlers. Shaheen Shah Afridi went for plenty in his opening over. So I think, look, Pakistan have been suffering so far, not just in this tournament, but in the past few years, because they don't seem to have the impact players to win matches. Their two best impact players with the experience, with the class which everyone thought that they had, Babar Azam and Shaheen Shah Afridi, have not been able to deliver match-winning performances. So there's too much vested in the others, and they just don't seem to be able to cope up to the challenge, especially when playing against India. I thought The other bowlers, Saeem and even Usman, Tariq, when he came on to bowl, Muhammad Nawaz, they all bowled rather well. But 175 against this Indian attack on that pitch, and remember, it's not just Indian spinners who excelled there. Bumrah got a couple of wickets, Hardik a couple of wickets. In fact, the wickets were shared by almost everybody, including the part-timers like Tilak Verma and some of the others.
Yeah, and so we can finally close this chapter. We've been building to it for so long, but maybe a more, at least in the context of this World Cup, a more important game happens today, which is Sri Lanka versus Australia. And if Australia lose that, they might as well go home then. And again, India Pakistan done for now, but again, Pakistan lose to Namibia, they might also be out of the tournament. But India, as I said earlier, have qualified for the Super 8s, and now they play the Netherlands in a couple of days, and we'll come back to you after that. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Tanvir. We'll catch up soon.